Markus, how much money does your business make?
Well, the business I just sold, the number that I talk about is the 170 million we did in global sales.
Now, that's the supplement company, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, Magnum. It was my baby for just under 19 years. I loved it, man. It was what I was meant to do for all those years.
Yeah. So, how'd you do it?
I started with nothing as you can get. When you hear the story of this guy started with nothing, that's where I was. When I started that business, I was just tinkering and being an entrepreneur. Before that, I had started my own supplement business out of my bedroom. And so I had shelves like these behind me, and I was just selling supplements to my buddies. And it was, I love looking back on it because I was a healthy drug dealer for all those years. Buddies would just tell buddies, and they're like, you got to come see my guy. You got to know the knock to get in. And it was great. And then I started thinking bigger, and I'm like, how do I get bigger than this? And I don't want to invite every human being into my bedroom. That's not going to work out so well. So I moved into my first supplement store, turned into a few stores. And then again, same questions. How do I get bigger than this? How do I do the bigger things in life, play a bigger game? And creating my own brand was the way to go. I really felt God say, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to have your own brand. And that's how I built the brand January of 2005. It was January 17th, 2005. I felt that calling and I put it to work immediately.
So was that the backing, the question that you asked yourself to get to that next level each and every step was, how can I do more? How can I think bigger?
Exactly. And what's wild, as I was writing this book, this is when I first recognized what I was doing. And I did the exact same thing each time. When you sit down and you reanalyze your goals. And I think this is such an important thing for people to do because we set goals years back. Like some of the goals that we are acting on big time, like actively acting on, we set that goal when we were like 7 years old. And sometimes it takes someone like me to come along and go, okay, where's that coming from? Do you still actually want that? And you go, well, of course I do. Uh-oh. And like legit, I found myself acting on impulses that I created in my brain when I was like 7, 8 years old. And it's, geez, I don't care for that stuff anymore. But when I was doing these exercises going, okay, I'm doing well, but let's reanalyze. Am I happy with this? Do I want to keep going? Do I want to coast at this? Where can I go from here? And you set new goals. And what happened each time I did that is I went, I can't make that kind of money and make that kind of impact by staying here and doing this. And then instantly it gave me a new path. And I'm a guy who takes action. So I'm such a proponent of action. I encourage it so much. And when people have an idea, just start acting on it. Find out what's going to happen. Things will change as you start acting, as you start walking down the path. Things will morph into something much greater than you can imagine. Just keep your eyes open and keep your mind open to the possibilities.
Yeah, God gives us the vision. It's our responsibility to take it from there.
Yes. Oh, I love that, brother. Now that you've said it, I'm going to go ahead and build on that. I'm a firm believer that sometimes God gives us a bit of a glimpse into the future. And it's this glimpse of, hey, this is what your life could be like, or this is and it doesn't have to be the way that we see it. And so many times I've seen that glimpse of the future and it was so beautiful. And it didn't come true exactly how I saw it. It was probably my interpretation of it. But how it came out was still glorious. So I don't get so hooked on the result, but just knowing that, oh, this is a good path. Let's start moving on this path and let's find out what I don't know.
Love it. So talk to me about alignment and doing what you're meant to do in business.
Yes. And I love this, by the way, Dylan. I love that you set this up, that this is a personal question now because you're seeking out what might be next on your to-do list. And this really excites me. So there's a couple things I want to talk about. But one of the ones that just came to me as you and I were having this conversation off air, I think the next thing that you're going to be called to, I think a big part of it is going to be the impact that it makes. When people have done a certain level of business, and it's different for everybody, of course, but when you've done enough business that you're like, ooh, I'm doing pretty good. So the next thing I have to do would have to like excite me in a new way. To find passion in things, of course, that's critical. I think if you're not finding passion in what you're about to do, just stop. Because without the passion, truly, there's not a good enough why behind it. And we know if you don't have a good enough why, when those rainy days come, and they're going to come, it's just too easy to stay inside. It's too easy to just stay on the couch. But when
Yep.
you have that passion for something and you know your why and you have impact, you're making real impact on people you care about, on this world, on your community, that gets you out of bed every single day and gets me so lit up.
So what are some of those questions that somebody can ask themselves on that end?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the follow-up because I got distracted by my own words. Here are some big questions that I encourage people to ask. Number one, what are you passionate about? And write it down. Don't just think about these things. Write down 5 to 10 to 15 things that you're really passionate about, that get you excited. The things that if you spent 4, 6, 10 hours at, you wouldn't notice the time flying by. So this is your passion. There's the positive side. What are the things that excite you? Just put down anything on this list and don't hold back. Don't put restraints on this right now. Just start writing. Now, on the other side, I want you to write down all the things that piss you off. The things that piss you off are the things that get you excited in a different way. Now, I don't mean, when people cut me off in traffic, or I guess maybe I do. Maybe you're going to come up with some new invention for that. But what I mean by piss you off is injustice in the world. It's like, and it is just not right how many people are going hungry. Not right how many people don't have clean water. Not right how many people are starving to death or who don't have shoes or whatever is the thing in you that really pisses you off. And now I'm going to clarify this a bit further. Of course, there's things that upset all of us. They're universally upsetting. People starving to death. Nobody's comfortable with that. Oh yeah, I'm super happy. No, of course not. But the things that piss you off specifically, maybe you have a special connection to that. My family used to travel through Africa when we were young. So I really got to see it. I got to see people starving. I got to meet people whose siblings had died from starvation. So that might piss you off in a special way that's like deep in your core. The kind of thing that if you can discover those things and find a way to use that every single day, you will absolutely change the world.
It'll make you get out of bed.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
So we have the questions we can ask ourselves now. So let's talk about the vehicle to get there, and let me get some context on this. So it'd be different for somebody who wants to make an impact on the world. They wouldn't go and start mowing lawns. They would need a bigger vehicle or a better vehicle to get them there. So I want to know, what's your take on picking the right vehicle in business?
This is a big, beautiful question, by the way. I think it's really important, but I don't want to get too hung up on it. And I see too many people get hung up on similar questions, give them paralysis by analysis. And it doesn't feel just perfect yet. So I'll just wait. Maybe something else is going to come along. I am such a big pusher of start moving. And one of the things I always bring up with people is I learn about 90% of what I need to know while I'm on the path. Therefore, if I don't start moving, I'm going to get to about 10% and I'm maxed out. I'm not getting anywhere on 10%. And part of that 90% is you just start moving forward and it's pretty quick. You're like, oh man, I thought I was going this way. I need to pivot this way. It's not a big deal, but there's a shift. Start moving. And the idea of which vehicle to choose. Yeah, maybe you don't have the money or the assets or the connections right now today to make the impact you want to make, to create the vehicle you want to create. Does somebody else have a vehicle that's in the similar space that maybe you can get in for the ride? And there's huge opportunity there. And it doesn't mean just try to get a job there. Man, if you're really trying to make impact in the world and you're really focused on going after your passions so that you can make an impact and change this world, well, create an internship. How many people are going to turn you down to say, hey, I would really love to work with you for 3 months. I want to just give you all of my effort, all of my passion, all of my love as I discover, and I want to help your business and I want to learn about your business. I want to learn about what you're doing. And hey, one day I'm going to be doing something similar. And hopefully I make such an impact on you and your business that you'll want to invest in mine. Or at the very least, you'll be cheering me on. See, with a pitch like that, how many people are going to be like, Oh, no. I prefer to just take a gamble on, Indeed and just find a new employee. Pretty good pitch.
Oh, man, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. My mind's spinning here too with the
Yes.
and kind of just the things like we talked about off air here, step after step, I know I can initially take. And that's the little things that a lot of people overlook and don't really get into as much is those small increment action steps that people can take to get them to that next level.
Yes.
I want to pivot from there a little bit and talk about now you've had plenty of success over multiple companies now. Now, when was a period in time when things like really took off, like the trajectory just completely changed?
Mm,
Can you narrow that down to one thing that you contribute that thing to?
yes. Yes. There was 2 major pivots. The first one was about 6 years ago, and the second one was during COVID. I think COVID's is a better story, so that's the one I'm gonna tell you about, but both of them had this common theme. The pivot happened in here. It's amazing. I've been on a 30-year journey of mindset, like figuring out how powerful the mind is, and I don't think I know 1% of 1%. The more I learn about how powerful our minds are and how much we can create with just thought, it blows my mind. And so it was roughly 5 or 6 years ago that my first big revelation changed where I go, man, I'm trying to do too much on my own. And I'm pretending to be this lone wolf. And if you're trying to make real impact and change tons of lives, man, you're not going very far on your own. You are small potatoes. I'm sorry to say. But if you can ignite the people around you, now you're talking about a team effort. There's no stopping you. There's no limits to what you can do. Now, I'm going to tell you the major mindset shift for me that happened in COVID. And I'll give you a couple of lessons with it. And I just loved this moment. The first few months of COVID were by far the scariest moments of my life in business. In March of 2020, we dropped 70% in business. 70. Because if you were in March 2020, all of a sudden, COVID was a real thing. In February, it was like, oh, you heard about this thing? Whatever. We've heard all these things before. And then, boom, the world shut down. And legit, people were like, are we all going to die? Is this one of those movies where, 3% of the population survives? So people are putting money under their mattresses. They were investing in toilet paper and it was just chaos. So we dropped 70%. That's horrifying. There's very few businesses that can handle a 70% drop. And by the way, I just moved into our brand new building, which we built for us, which we designed for us. It was 2.5 times the size of the old building, which meant 2.5 times the size of the mortgage. And so I'm freaking out. And of course, the next month, it didn't get any better. It was still getting worse. I was still down more than 70%. And I'm sitting there going, I'm a man of faith. And I'm going, wow, God, is this the time? Are you taking the business away from me? And if so, I'll accept it because it's you. But please help me to do everything I can. But man, I was throwing pity parties. I was throwing pity parties for myself every day. And anybody who's doing that, like, I get it. So I have so much mercy for you. But I want to tell you that pity party is going to only end one way. And it has to do with the bank and the government seizing everything you've got. So I want to encourage you, hold off on the pity party. Again, no, said there are going to be some business people during COVID. They're going to do amazing things. They're going to reinvent. They're going to do brilliant. What? Wait, I'm not a frickin' bench warmer. I don't sit on the sidelines and just cheer others on while they do amazing things and the bank repossesses everything I own. I'm going to do that. Literally, everything changed with that one thought. That's how quick things can change. And so I brought together my executives. It was everybody who was left in the building. And I said, everything changes today. We are going to do everything differently. And I explained that story of what just happened. And then I said, I want ideas. I don't care what the idea is. Let's come up with something that reinvents us. Come up with anything that's going to give us some income while we're trying to figure out what's going on in the world. Here's an idea. We just moved into this huge warehouse. Can you get me some warehouse people someone who needs warehouse space? See all their eyes are like, come on, man. All businesses are going out of business. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? You think the people who distribute Purell or toilet paper or any cleaning or health products aren't desperately looking for warehouse space right now? Don't forget, those people's businesses, they were not 10x, they were like 50x overnight. They need warehouse space. 24 hours from that meeting, we signed our first deal. It was for probiotic gum, which I didn't even know was a thing. And they took $7,000 worth of warehouse space. Now, $7,000 doesn't change lives, but that was 24 hours. And you wouldn't believe the shift that happened in the building as soon as I brought everybody together and we celebrated 24 hours, $7,000. Imagine what we can do in the next month. Let's go. And everybody went from this to this. And that's how quick things can change.
Changing the standard.
Yes.
Raising the heat.
Yes.
That's so good. That's so good. It's the story we tell ourselves.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, we speak in the same language here.
I read a book. I read it a few times now. The Power of the Subconscious Mind and what we tell ourselves and then what we project out and all the case studies that they've done on that end. Our mind, you said it before, our mind is such a powerful tool. And we do not, I'm a firm believer in we don't even use a fraction of a 0.00% of our brain. There's no way.
I totally agree, brother. And, just what we're capable of doing. And when you get a taste of that capability, it just opens up your eyes to go, oh my goodness. Like, I don't think the limitations that we think, I don't actually believe. I don't have an answer for them, but I truly believe in my lifetime, we're going to see the first couple of human beings who can levitate. I believe it. I just think that's one of those weird restrictions that we were just told, no, you can't levitate. The gravity will bring you back. It's okay. But what if it didn't? What if I figured out a way to manipulate the gravity around me? I don't know, but I believe in my lifetime, I'm going to see that.
So you've been in the Guinness Book of World Records. How did you manage to do that?
I'll be honest with you. I had very little to do with actually achieving that award. I was a speaker for a financial conference for adult literacy on finances, which I think is one of the most beautiful things to help with. I just think the majority of this world does not understand finances. And that's not me putting anybody down. I'll tell you right now, I go to the grocery store and I don't understand finances at all. I'm doing pretty well in life. We got a few dollars in our bank account. I look at the prices of things. I'm like, who can afford this? I don't. It's not that I can't afford it, but it's how much do you want to spend? Do you want to spend $1 million on your next trip? And it's, whoa, million? Like I could, but do I want to? No, I don't want to spend $50 for a box of chicken breasts. This is insane. So this financial literacy, it was an online thing. And there was just the most amazing lineups of speakers. Tim Story, Tony Hawk, the rapper is on there. Like we had this unbelievable, David Meltzer was on there, like this list of A-level speakers who just came together who were like, yeah, let's make a dent in this problem. And yes, Markus Kaulius was called to do the cleanup at the end and I loved it. And I got to do a talk for adults and a whole bunch of kids. There were more kids tuned into this thing than almost any financial thing in history as well. And yeah, I ended up getting a Guinness award for it.
What an opportunity, man.
So cool, eh?
So this is a great segue, actually. Knowing what you know now, what are the activities you'd be doing to open up doors for new opportunities?
So good. This is a great question. My number one answer, without question, get into more rooms with brilliant people. And if you go, I don't even know, what does that even mean? Where do I start? Oh my goodness, the listings are massive. Here, let me give you a few speakers. Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, Lewis Howes, Bouchard. Let's put Brendon Bouchard in there. There are 4 names. Rewind if you need to repeat them back. Those guys put on conferences constantly. Get in those rooms. Brilliant human beings are in those rooms. Now, when you are buying a ticket, here's a big challenge for you. Don't just get a cheap ticket to get in the room. Extend yourself a little bit. Make it a little bit uncomfortable. Spend a little bit extra. If you're like, I'm okay with this $200 ticket, I want you to buy a $400 or $500 ticket. And here's why. I want it to be so uncomfortable that you're making an investment, that you're $500 down and then you're just going to sit there and go, I hope this works out. No, I put $500. It was more money than I can afford to do. I am going to listen to every word. If they tell me for the next 15 minutes, it's networking time, I'm going right into the networking. And while I'm there, I'm going to try and meet as many people as I can, give out as many cards as I can, get into conversations, and I'm going to follow up. Why? Because I put out too much money. I've got money on the line here. I have to follow up. Too much of our time these days is like, I'll just show up and I'll see what happens. And I'll see if anybody calls me after. How's that working out for the world? How's that working out for anybody? But if you go in there with that attitude, that's the kind of attitude I show up with, which is, boom, I'm giving out business cards. What are you doing? And it's not just, I'm not having these conversations like, how can you serve me? I'm actually having conversations of, how could I be of service to you? If there's something in my life that would help you, and that would excite me. That's truly my definition of success, is to help other people succeed, lift other people up. If I can do that, I get so much out of that. That is what excites me so much. And this is what life is really about.
Being intentional.
Yeah. Yes.
That's big. You said something else in that. It's kind of stretch yourself a little bit. Have skin in the game.
Yeah.
Make it hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
So those actions, you're not going to sit in the back. You're going to sit in the front, and you're going to ask those questions.
That's exactly.
You're going to have those conversations. Get something out of
That's
this.
right. Bro, there's so much value to that. And that concept alone, I do this sometimes when I'm bringing on someone new that I'm going to mentor, and not everybody can afford the prices that I charge. And I get that. And I set them very purposefully because I work with a lot of CEOs and executives and I know my worth. But once in a while, an entrepreneur will come to me and there's something about them that I just love. And I'm like, I could change this person's world. And they're like, yeah, I can't afford anything near what you're, okay. What could you afford that's uncomfortable? And I just explain it to them just like I did just moments ago to say, I need you to be uncomfortable. I need it to be such an incredible investment that you're never 1 minute late. You are always 5 minutes early, because if you're 1 minute late, man, you can break down the numbers. You can say, wow, I just spent $25. I just spent whatever that number is being late. Like, I have to invest in myself. And then when you show up fully ready, you've slept properly the night before, you had your exercise, you've eaten properly, so that when we have our session, you are fully ready to go. And if I give you something, you're going to take it, you're going to ask the right questions in response, and you're going to go and take action with it. Why? Because you're uncomfortable, because you invested in this. You believe that much in this process that you're going to give it your all.
So good. Leading to that a little bit, I've helped a few of my friends in their entrepreneur journeys and in their businesses, helped them have success over the years. And I did the same for a few friends. And this is going back to skin in the game. Whenever I did it for free to someone else, exact same tactics, exact same everything, they didn't apply it. They didn't take it as serious. And I can see that because I was the same way. Hey, why this person, if they claim they don't need the money when they've had all the success, why are they charging for this? But I completely get it now being on the other side. You have the same formula that you give one that you give the other, and then they don't perform on it.
Yeah.
And it's skin in the game is so big.
Oh, isn't it so sad? And you see when they don't show up or they don't do it, you're like, man, I double screwed you over and screwed myself over because now I gave you my time and I didn't get a penny out of it. And yeah, I don't need the money from this one person who can't afford it. But it's so crazy. This literally happened 3 months ago where there was somebody who was of high stature. And I was like, this guy knows me. He knows my resume and I know his. He's playing a big game. I'm like, you know what? I'll do this for free for you. Guess who's the first person who didn't show up for a meeting in the last 4 years? It was this guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew better. I was like, why wouldn't you just charge him the full amount? And hey, I'll take it and I'll give it to charity afterwards. Who cares? But just don't give your stuff away for free.
This leads me to something else I wanted to talk about. You clearly, it's not about the money anymore. How do you keep yourself going on those days when you don't want to deal with the stress? You're going through something that day I don't have to, you don't have to do that day. What keeps you going during those times when you're like, I just don't feel like dealing with this stuff today?
Ooh, I love this question because this is the new stage in my life. I've been doing this now for a year ago. I sold the business. I gave them 6 more months of my time. So for the last 6 months, I've been starting this new chapter, redefining myself, and I've never loved my life so much. And so one of the things I recognized early on, and I really felt God showed this to me, I'm looking at my schedule one day, I'm like, I love my schedule. There's literally nothing on my schedule that I don't love. But what I recognize, it's not only a gift, but I have to take that very seriously in that you have to protect it. So yeah, you can say, that's great for you, Marcus. You sold your business. You can afford to do that. Who says you can't? Who told you you can't? Who said you have to have this amount of money in the bank before you can do that? Now, let me just give you what if you filled your schedule with things that you loved and that excited you and the people that you wanted to spend time with and removed the people you didn't, and you cleaned up your schedule in a way that it excited you? Do you think you'd achieve more in life? Do you think you'd get ahead more? How do you think your stress levels would be? Your happiness, your joy, your bliss? How do you think you'd sleep at night? How do you think you'd wake up in the morning? Do you think you'd be excited to get out of bed? I can assure you that's exactly what happens. So I wish I had learned this 15 years ago and started to clear my schedule, because this is absolutely unreal. And being who I want to be, authentically me. It's not for everybody. My schedule's not for everybody. Some people might look at my schedule and go, dude, that's a really busy schedule still. You're saying you like this? I'm like, it's how I was built. So it's not for everyone. But I can also have the ability to go, hey, we're getting together. You want to go for a walk? I've got a beautiful forest nearby. You want to go for a big walk in the forest? Dude, I love that. That's my favorite kind of meeting, is to go for a walk in the forest together. And you get to be peace. And it's not the stress of life. The noise of life is not all around you. The phones don't really work. So you might as well put them in and leave them in the car. Dude, that's exciting. How about you? What's your biggest tip for keeping your schedule cleansed and enjoying your life more?
That's a good question. And I was sitting here thinking what I could do and what I enjoy about what my life right now and what I don't. And then honestly, my next follow-up question was, how are you going to, is it a task that you pawn off? That's an awful way to say that. Is it a task that you push on to somebody else because you don't enjoy it? But we'll come back to that. So to answer your question, I would say, I had a business coach one time. He asked me this. He said, what fills your cup up?
Yeah.
He says, you need to be doing more of what fills your cup up and delegate everything else that doesn't. And I think it's I enjoy helping others. And I know that sounds so cliche, but not as far as a managing side of it. I've done that in business. I'm not good at managing people. I'm a yes man, and I just want people I see the good in everything. So manager's not a great role for me, but just being a cheerleader, almost just giving somebody a vision and cheering them on to succeed in life.
Love it.
That's probably what fills my cup up the most. And do that. And then also talk about business and building and self-development. That's what I enjoy doing. So I hope that answers that question.
Oh, it totally does. And brother, we need to spend more time together. Dude, this is what I do with my life now. And I love it. Like, I'm a cheerleader. I just love encouraging people. I love seeing the best in people. And I love bouncing ideas off of each other, man. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, ideas. Oh man, so you're clearly a visionary. So I am so high up in the visionary score when you take tests. Oh, it's crazy. I love it. I love it so much. You got to also have somebody to execute on those visionaries too. And it sounds like you've been successful in that too. To segue into, and I don't mean to cut you off on that end, but difficult, or at the beginning stages of that, I know your mindset. I know you're thinking so big at that time. How did you also think small and get minuscule tasks done at that point? Or then how'd you find somebody to do those? Because usually visionaries with those, it's a challenge. And it was a challenge for me too, in my companies too. So I'd love to get your input on that.
Oh, what's so beautiful about this question is it's actually going to bring us back to that story that I skipped over, which was 5 or 6 years ago. The turning point for me For so many years, I had this small entrepreneur's mentality of, if you want to get it done, no one's going to do it as well as you can. And I had my hands in too many pies, and I was filling my schedule just a little bit too much. And I was giving okay, you can take care of but not, no, that's too big now. And then 5 or 6 years ago, I really started to learn about empowerment and empowering others. And I don't know I'm certain there was a few books that I was reading at the time that really changed things. And there's a couple that I'm certain have some of these key points, which are Atomic Habits by James Clear, Good to Great by Jim Collins. Those are massive for this. Good to Great, actually, there was a lot in that one. But to empower others, one, and this was like a real game changer for me, by the way, is understanding that they will make mistakes, because everybody does, but to accept it, because guess what? I also would make mistakes. And as entrepreneurs, we're like, yeah, but if I make the mistake, it's okay, I'll fix it and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But what if you empowered someone to make decisions knowing that they might make a mistake, help them to avoid mistakes? And I'll never forget the conversations I had with my higher up executives where I was like, guys, as of today, you are making way more decisions and it's fully on you. I will support you. You want to ask me questions, you want to reverberate stuff, let's do that. But it's going to be your decision. And you could see they're like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that, but I knew if I did that, it would change them as human beings. You got to think about it. If somebody is always with their thumb over you, ready to press down, like, whoa, I make the ultimate decision. Do you know how much it's different to have that thumb? Sure. The thumb is now removed and going, you have the power. I actually saw these people walk around with their shoulders back more. And when they're leaving the building, you could tell they're going to go home with more of this like bravado. And I was like, I'm loving this. And I would have the conversation with them. Listen, if you make a mistake, the only thing I care about is that you really did your research to avoid the mistakes. And then you've got to tell me what you learned. If you don't learn anything from it, and especially if you try and pass the buck, if you try and point fingers at others, here's all that I'm hearing from you. You didn't learn anything. If the only lesson here is just don't trust Tommy. No, that's not going to work. So we fire Tommy and then you bring in Timmy and now Timmy screws up and no. If you're the leader, it's you. So if you're empowering Tommy to do something, make sure Tommy's doing it. And wow, did everything change. And business started to just go through the roof. And it opened up the opportunity for me to consider selling the business, which I ended up doing.
Giving somebody that freedom to take control. Once they do that as well, I feel like a sense of ownership would develop as well on that end.
100%. And that's such a beautiful thing. They truly do take ownership. They take ownership of their decisions. And then the beautiful side effect is, man, you should see how they push the rest of the people in the building, whether they work under that person or not. Because now it's like, hey, I don't want this company to be gone tomorrow because of you. I get freedom here like I wouldn't find anywhere else. I get empowerment here. This is changing me for the positive as a human being. It's impacting my family's life. Y'all better take it serious now. And man, just you can't even imagine how beautiful those ripples were.
That's good. So you're pretty big on faith and faith within your business too.
Yes, sir.
How are you implementing God into business?
What I'm about to say might not work for everyone. It actually probably wouldn't work for everyone. Not that I have a special relationship with God in that sense. I think the relationship I have with God is available for everybody. God is just so amazing. And he loves us so much. He wants a relationship with you. But he's just going, hey, whenever you're ready, come hang out with me. And the more time I spend with him, the more time I listen. And that was a big one that I struggled with for so many years. I heard people say, like, how much do you listen to God? And it's, wait a minute, listen? I pray to him. Okay, so you're speaking, then do you listen? I brought God all the way into my business because it was his business. He offered it to me. Like truly, I gave my life over to him. I was in my early 20s. Within 3 months of fully giving, and I gave my life over, I said, I won't do any major moves in my life without making sure it's from you. I won't date another girl unless I'm 100% certain you're the one who put her in front of me. Within 3 months, I was introduced to the most beautiful, amazing woman on the planet. And now we're together over 20 years and have 2 amazing daughters, by the way. And then within 4 months of marrying her, he gave me this idea for this business that I ended up taking and doing some pretty incredible things with. So for me to try and remove God from my business would have been silly. But more importantly, having God as a key player in your business, more than anything else, you need to understand it removes so much stress and brings so much peace because there's something way bigger than me at play. And I trust him. I truly trust that no matter what happens to me, it happens for good reason. Like bad things will happen. For sure, they're going to happen. I don't need to question if I have a good God. Everything that's ever happened in my past, as negative as it could seem, for my benefit. That's crazy. That's crazy to realize that. Now, I'm sure people are hearing that going, well, that's nice for you, Markus, but here's all the crappy things that happened in my life, and there's no way good. If you spend some time with me, I would love to show you how good those things were, even the terrible stuff. I had a rough upbringing. We were as poor gets. The divorce screwed me up so bad. Not having a dad around screwed me up. For decades, it screwed me up. And finally, when I took this time to really go through my history and what God was trying to do, it was all for my benefit. There was so many benefits. There was so much love in these situations and the people he sent me to make up for the problems I was experiencing over here. Would I change a single thing that's happened to me in my life? Not a chance. Not a chance. I am right here as the man before you because of those things. So if nothing else you get from this moment, from these words, think about this. You would not be the person you are today if God hadn't done all these things in your life, no matter how bad they are. You are the strong, amazing human being who is still kicking, still alive. If you're listening to this, I know you're a freaking champion. I know you're a high achiever, or else you wouldn't be listening to this, and you certainly wouldn't be listening over 40 minutes in. So that excites me so much. And if you are excited about what I'm saying and think that there's some truth to what I'm saying, reach out to me. Let me cheerlead for you. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to give you a conversation. I'd love to give you 30 minutes of my time. And let me see if I can help you understand some of the limiting beliefs that are slowing you down in life.
All backed up here.
That's right.
So after everything you've built, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, the lives you've impacted, what, something like 10 million lives?
Yes, sir.
So you decide to start another business. What is Play a Bigger Game?
First of all, thank you. I don't know if I can say I started it. I've been called to this. This is what God has put in front of me and said, hey, this is what you're doing next. This is how you're going to impact people in a new way. He also had me write a book, and which is for pre-sale right now on Amazon.com. If not, when you hear this, for sure in the next few weeks, it's going to be on all the different book sites. You can go pre-order it and go register it. If you go register my book, I'm going to give you a bunch of freebies and some opportunities to win some incredible things, including some tickets and flights to LA to come hang out with me on one of the greatest growth days you'll ever experience. But the book is called Play a Bigger Game. And the business, it's a community, it's a mastermind. It's playbiggergame.com. Come take a look at us, surrounding yourself with the right people. And if you're liking the energy that you're feeling and some of these words have impacted you and you're like, I would like to discover more, come check us out. Come have a discovery call with us. I'd love to just spend some time with you. And if we're a fit, fantastic. And if we're not, that's totally okay. The one thing you won't get out of me is a sales pitch, because I am a firm believer that you are either going to be absolutely drawn to me or repelled by me, and both of those work out great. Play a bigger game. It's this beautiful mastermind. We've got some brilliant minds put together, people who've done amazing things in different areas of life. We've got people who have done insane things with their bodies, with their minds, with their businesses, with their relationships. I've got people who have written best-selling parenting books, business books, and you get to tap into those minds. You get to spend time with these people, ask the key questions. And what's so amazing is the people who are in this are changing their lives so quickly. It's not just about, oh yeah, I made $1 million more in the last few weeks. Money is a small part of it, but the actual joy out of their lives, the mindset shifts that allow them to be better partners, to be better parents, to be more active and more cognizant of their health. Oh my goodness, it is so remarkable how these lives are changing, and the lives that these people's lives will change. I can't even count the ripples, and I'm really excited to be part of it.
No, I love to hear it. So you've got it set up as it's monthly mentorship, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you have your prices online. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
But they're not, I wouldn't say cheap, but they're inexpensive.
Yeah. They're not crazy.
Yeah. Well, so this, you said you want people to, you've set the price pretty low for anybody can get in there. What was your take on that?
I prayed a lot about this. As
Yeah.
you can imagine, setting prices is wild. And I've been part of masterminds that cost me well over 100,000. In fact, in the last 12 months, I spent over $250,000 on personal development. That's how devoted I am to this. And what's exciting to me about those investments is that, man, you can come and spend time with me and take away everything that I learned for the $250K, and it won't cost you a fraction of that. And I thought about charging $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for the year. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to set a price where you aren't necessarily the person who's made it all the way. Yeah, we've got a bunch of people who have businesses that are doing $30, $40 million, which these guys are doing incredible business and they're doing it right. But then I've got a lot of people who are small business people who are like, even $1,000 a month, that's a stretch. That's going to be a commitment. And it's, yeah, good. That's what I want. I want it to be, I want you to make sure you're showing up. And this is the stage I'm at right now. And I don't know how long God's going to keep me in this stage. So while I'm here, I want to impact as many people's lives as possible. If you want to come spend some time with me, just come sign up. Oh man, you'll have a discovery call with me first because we don't just allow anybody in. I have to know I want to spend that time with people. That's how I keep my schedule the way I want to keep my schedule. And it's such an amazing community of human beings who are really supporting and loving of each other. They're there for the same reason, the same purpose, to grow, to become a better version of themselves, to become a better business person, a better community citizen, a better parent, a healthier human being, a happier human being, someone who sleeps better at night, someone who digests food better. I know these are weird things to talk about, but these are the most important things in my opinion. Man, people live their lives in so much discomfort in their own bodies, in their digestive systems, in their ailments. I love healing people of that stuff. And man, I'd love for you guys to contact me and be part of that.
I love it. Markus, before you go here, what do you want to leave the listeners with that we haven't already touched base on today?
I think one of my biggest missions in life is to help people realize how loved they are. I went my first 15 years convinced nobody loved me. I came from a broken home, and now my father's gone and my mom had to go to school full time and work full time just to put food on our table. I didn't experience love. That's a really hard place to come from. And yet I still see that around me every single day. And I think that's a place where a lot of people come from, is they're like, I don't think I'm loved, and maybe I'm not even worthy or deserving of love. And I want to tell you, you are loved and you are deserving of love. And the more time you spend with someone like me, you will believe it. I will brainwash you into believing that. And what you can do with that belief in yourself, I can't even fathom. What we've all been put here to do is something very unique and remarkable. There's only one of you on this planet. You are an absolutely unique unicorn. And if you aren't living into the person that you're supposed to be, that this world needs you to be, you're depriving us of something so spectacular. So I would love to be in your corner, cheering you on, encouraging you, pushing you to become the best version of yourself, to unleash who you are supposed to be, to get rid of these limiting beliefs and live this extraordinary life. And if that excites you, man, please come hang out with me. You'd be doing me such an honor, and you'd be doing this world such a service. You will have such massive impact in this world. And yes, all your dreams can come true. I know that sounds cliche, but I fully believe that. Anything I dream, I can make happen.
So good. I was doing the research on you before this interview. I wanted to be prepared. And you said it yourself. They're either going to love you or hate you. And it's that energy that you put out. You're either going to resonate with it or you're not.
Yep.
And everything I was watching previous interviews and stuff you've had, and the energy, I knew I was like, I have to show up today. I'm going to have to match this guy's energy. I love it. And just a lot of the stuff you talked about, I just resonate with.
You did great, by the way, brother. You did great.
Love it. But that's all I got today. And your book, they can get, when is that coming out?
You can pre-order it now. July 9th, 2024 is the big launch day. So excited to start putting that in people's hands. It's called Play a Bigger Game. It's the 7 universal principles to experience real fulfillment and to win at life. And it's everything, all these mindset tools, all the perspective shifts that I used over the years to change my life and the life of everyone around me. And it's in really simple terms. It's the way I speak. So if you connect with my words, you connect with my energy, I know you'll love the book, because everyone who's read the book said the same thing. You really captured your voice. It sounds like I'm just having a conversation, and it's constant challenges. Like, you have to put the book down and you actually have to take action on this stuff, because if you're not taking action, nothing in your life is going to change. And I'd like to just point out one last thing that you just said that I loved. And it's one of my best encouragements for people, because I think the world is trying to make us all very similar to each other. You think about social media and it's, hey, more people would like you if you did this, and stop being so this. Don't be so tall. Don't be so loud. Don't be so this. Don't be so that. And what happens is now we all just look alike and nobody stands out. I totally disagree with that. Again, you are a unique unicorn. Let you be you. Not everybody's going to like you. So I like to say it's like I'm a cup of tea. And some people are going to taste the tea and go, whoa, that tea is amazing. I love this tea. And others are going to go, this tea's too high energy. There's too much caffeine in this tea. It's too this or too that. That's okay. There's lots of tea for you guys. But if I water down my tea to try and please those guys, what's going to happen is everyone's going to taste my tea and go, that doesn't taste like much. I don't care if he's here in the room or not. I want you to care if I'm in the room. And if you don't like my tea, find someone else's tea. That's awesome. But I know that the people who like my tea are like, I love this tea. I want to drink this tea every day, and it's awesome. I will pour you more tea tomorrow, and I am so blessed to have you in my life.
Thank you for coming on today. You've shared so much.
Brother, thank you for all you do. Thank you for the energy you brought. I love it. And thanks for creating what you've created. And by the way, as a gift to you, let's all get together right now and go give this podcast 5 stars. This is so much work. Dylan put so much work into putting this together, interviewing people. This is so much passion and love he puts into this thing. The very least we can do is going to take us 30 seconds. Go give a 5-star rating, leave a little review. More people are going to see it. More people are going to join this community. Thanks for what you're doing, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, if you're still listening, hopefully you got some value out of this or amusement. Either way, I really appreciate you for listening. My goal with this podcast is to build something of value while also showing others that it's possible to do the same. And what I mean by that is I'm not perfect at this. I fumble, I stutter, and I just want to show that it's okay. If you've been putting something off, this is me telling you to go for it. So I need your help in growing this, and there's 2 main ways a podcast grows. One is through ratings and reviews, and 2 is through word of mouth. So I can only do it with your help. If you can leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as post this to your social, it doesn't grow without you. Thank you. Talk to you all next week.